the path of Bhakti Yoga, the highest mystic means for attainment of the Supreme Lord. Om Gyanati Mrindasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasme Shri Guruve Namah. Ya Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamham Dadati Swapadantikam Bande Ham Shri Guru Shri Jatapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavcha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sangitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Mitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Apta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanch Kalpataru Vyaksha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Atita Nam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we welcome all the devotees to this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam discussion on a white snowy morning. This is our first winter snow on the season. So we are discussing Lord Brahmaji's creation. Shri Maitreya Muniji is discussing with Shri Mahatma Vidura ji, answering Viduraji's questions. Maitreya Muniji is now in this particular chapter discussing Visarga, Brahmaji's creation, secondary creation. And we saw how Brahmaji started this creation, and he created some features of nations so that living entities can survive by forgetting their original constitutional position in this material nature. And then Brahmaji's first attempt was to create 4 Kumaras, and they did not desire. The word used is unwilling. Those 4 Kumaras, Tan Nichan, 4 Kumaras, they did not have Ichha. They did not have the desire to be part of this particular creation as progenitors. They're still a Prajapati in their own way. And then Brahmaji felt bit frustration that my first attempt is not very successful as Brahmaji wanted it to be. So in that frustration, Rudra principle manifested, and that Lord Shiva's form as Rudra also was not so pleasing to Lord Brahmaji's mind. And Lord Brahmaji requested Rudra and Rudranis to actually stop being a progenitor and then go for tapa in the forest. And Lord Shiva's form as Rudra very obediently agreed, circumambulated Lord Brahmaji, considering him as very superior father. And then Lord Rudra leaves to the forest. So we will make one or two points. Time is very short. We, from this perspective, I was meditating that I would like to see from this perspective also that for Kumaras or Rudra's creation, it's not something we want to minimize, we want to think less, because the success of Brahmaji wasn't apparently there in those two efforts, because Brahmajis want very nice progenitors who will produce wonderful demigods and human beings. But we know four Kumaras started Kumara Sampradaya, Nambarka Sampradaya, and we know Rudra started Rudra Sampradaya. So we can see, I was meditating that their creation was as important as other following now onwards. It's not any less. Just like we can give simple example of Agni. Generally, when we talk about Agni, we talk about Agni can destroy the forest. So we remember Agni as a destroyer. It has a quality. But more, that happens very rare. But on everyday basis, Agni is used to cook. Agni is used to heat. So Agni acts as a creator, as Vishnu Tattva. When it's cooking, you put all the ingredients on the stove and then you get nice chapati and rice and dal. That's a creation. And then Agni as a heat is a maintainer. It maintains our bodies, it maintains the temperature. But we tend to feel that Agni means destroyer. It can engulf the whole house, whole factory, whole forest. So we are afraid, which is natural for the mind. But also from this perspective. So from the same perspective, we can see that how Lord Parshuram, who's Lord Vishnu's incarnation, he's very upset. He's showing his Rudra principle by killing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and generations of Kshatriyas, even though he's incarnation of Lord Vishnu. On the other side, we see Lord Shiva very gently becomes the maintainer of the entire universe. During the churning of the ocean, when that halahal comes, he drinks the halahal. Just imagine if he wasn't ready to drink, Srimad Bhagavatam explains all the universes, everything would have been destroyed by that halahal. But Lord Shiva comes forward on the request of Brahmaji and Lord Vishnuji. And he drinks so that he can become the maintainer of this entire planet, entire universe rather. We want to see, I want to see these Brahmaji's steps, efforts of creation. Every step is as important as the next and the previous, because it's all ordained by Mahavishnu, by Lord Krishna's Shakti. It's not unimportant. We must not be minimizing in our hearts. We must be thinking, wondering that how great, how variegated this creation is. How many different personalities are involved. It's like when you're building a team to do a project, you have some consultant, you have some full-time, you have some others, just advisors, you have some others who are very remote and trustee of the property, but they're very remote. They don't even get involved, maybe once in 10 years. But all of their roles are very important in creating that particular institution. Sometimes we glorify our GBCs and temple presidents and managements, but there's so many devotees involved in keeping the institutions together. So similarly, role of four Kumaras, role of Rudras, very, 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 very important. So that's one point I wanted to share. Second point, in this particular verse, we come back here. It says that Narada suggests that he can deliver the very name Narada suggests that he can deliver the Supreme Lord. So in this particular verse, we see Lord Shri Narada Muniji's glorification. 10 sons appeared after Brahmaji's meditation. And we know the names we heard yesterday, we heard before, we will hear more tomorrow. So I don't want to go into the detail, but in this particular verse, Shri Narada Muniji's name is highlighted, and Srila Prabhupada writes beautifully in this purport that how Srila Narada Muni's the name Nara at the, Nara means the Lord and the means who can deliver. Srila Narada Muni can deliver the Lord to the living entities. So we can spend next 10-15 minutes. How is that Srila Narada Muni can deliver? He's empowered. Srila Narada Muni is very careful about the time, place, and circumstance. He's very personal with whoever he meets. It's like Ayurvedic doctor. If he's a good Ayurvedic doctor, he first likes to understand your lifestyle. He personally likes to get involved in your life before he suggests any medicine. Ayurvedic doctor, good Ayurvedic doctor does not talk about medicine. That's the last thing he will talk. But he will spend 90% of his energy on figuring out your capacity, your lifestyle, your previous years, your current situation, your upcoming timing. So Srila Narada Muni is like that. He's called a perfect physician. And we see a few examples. When he meets King Chitraketu. So we see in Chitraketu Maharaj story, Chitraketu Maharaj wanted a son. He had everything in the world. He had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of queens, but he had no son. So he's praying to the Lord for a son. But Narad Muni ji wants to give him son, but he does not go to Chitraketu Maharaj. He sends his friend Angira Muni. And Angira Muni starts telling Chitraketu Maharaj a little bit about this son. If he comes, what's going to happen? But Chitraketu Maharaj is very attached. He wants son. So son is given. And then we know the story how queens poisoned the son and son died. So when son died, that's the time when Srila Narad Muni appears on the scene with his friend Angira Muni. Because Srila Narad Muni wanted Chitraketu Maharaj to go through the experience of having a son, of enjoying the son for some time, of seeing the pains of son leaving. And then Srila Narad Muni starts preaching. He actually brings the son back. And then he wanted Chitraketu Maharaj's son to talk to father Chitraketu Maharaj about Krishna consciousness. So we see how Srila Narad Muni introduced Krishna consciousness to Chitraketu Maharaj, and he because Narad Muni likes to understand his lifestyle, what he wants. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj story, how Srila Narad Muni wanted to give him pure devotional service, but then he also sees that he's interested in the kingdom greater than his grandfather. So Dhruva Maharaj is given everything, but he's also given the kingdom. He's given 30,000 years of kingdom, all the opulences, all sense gratification possible for Dhruva Maharaj. Chitraketu Maharaj was also given the Pushpa Bhiman and everything else with the Krishna consciousness. So Srila Narad Muni is very, very expert. When Srila Narad Muni meets Yudhishthira Maharaj is getting ready. He has won the Mahabharata battle and he's the king now. So Srila Narad Muni comes, and what's his question to Yudhishthira Maharaj? He says to Yudhishthira Maharaj, "O king, are you pursuing dharma, artha, and kama in balance?" This was the question of Srila Narad Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Are you pursuing dharma, artha, kama in balance? And then he gives Yudhishthira Maharaj instructions. He says, do not pursue dharma at the expense of artha and kama. Do not pursue artha at the expense of dharma and kama. And do not pursue kama at the expense of dharma and artha. Very balanced approach. Srila Narad Muni wanted his followers to have very balanced approach. When Brikasura approached Srila Narad Muni, that I have many of these desires that I want to worship the Lord. Who should I worship? He had a very open question. So Srila Narad Muni immediately said, you should worship Lord Shiva. Because Srila Narad Muni knew that his desire, he had these intense desires that he wants to be fulfilled. And let Lord Shiva fulfill those desires, and then Lord Vishnu will intervene at the very end. Especially in the example of Nalkuvira and Manikriva, how they were cursed. Srila Narad Muni sees them bathing with women and not feeling shy and not respecting the sadhus. They were cursed for 100 years, but they were cursed to become trees and this is very special, that Srila Narad Muni understood their lifestyle, that they were sons of Kuvera and they were bit spoiled. The sense gratification was very deep in their hearts. So Srila Narad Muni cursed them for 100 years to become trees, but also during those 100 years, remember their sinful activities that they were performing on that lake. Because of the remembrance of their sinful activities and standing as trees, Srila Narad Muni wanted them to be fully purified so that they can have the divine darshan of Damodar and they can be liberated. So in this example again, Srila Narad Muni is very particular. He understood the lifestyle of those sons of Kuberas, that how spoiled they are because they are sons of the treasury of the demigods. And we see that how our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, apply the same principle. When in the Lower East, New York City, when Srila Prabhupada used to sit with these hippies to teach them Krishna consciousness. One time, one of the hippie stood up and he said, Prabhupada, you talk about this Vaikuntha. What is Vaikuntha like? What's the experience there? So Srila Prabhupada, now Srila Prabhupada, he's dealing with hippies. So he could have given that Vaikuntha has, all four, everybody has 400 forms and so many opulences, and there is no misery, unlimited amount of sense gratification. But his answer was very simple. By seeing their lifestyle of the hippies, he said, Vaikuntha means full of LSDs. Full of LSDs. Because that's the language these hippies would understand. That's the language they will understand. So Srila Narad Muni is following on Srila Narad Muni's footsteps. Srila Prabhupada was also having the same mood to go to see what's the capacity of the student. Based on the capacity of the student, based on the lifestyle of the students, Krishna consciousness was given. Not anything cookie cutter, but tailor-made for the audience. That's the specialty of Shri Narad Muni. Srila Prabhupada was in South India, and devotees were chanting verses. Many of these Western devotees were there with Srila Prabhupada. And one very Sanskrit Pandit of South India, he heard Srila Prabhupada's disciples chanting Sanskrit verses, and he didn't like so much, and he expressed to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, your disciples' pronunciation, Sanskrit pronunciation is not that great. So Srila Prabhupada said, oh, you are Sanskrit teacher, so why don't you stay with us? I will give you a place here. You stay for 6 months and you teach Sanskrit to my disciples. But there is one condition. For those 6 months, no tea. Because the South Indian Sanskrit teacher, he used to drink tea every day, a few times. So then the Sanskrit teacher said, oh, no tea. Oh, their pronunciation is not so bad. It's not so bad. So Srila Prabhupada, as our founder Acharya, he followed exactly on the path of Srila Narad Muni. Just like Srila Narad Muni gave tailor-made instructions of Krishna consciousness to his disciples, either Dhruv Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj or Amrish Maharaj, or Nal Kuvera and Manigriva. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada was very, very, very caring and careful how he spoke with Shama Sundar and Malati Mataji, and one time he came to America, Srila Prabhupada, and he was sitting in a room and all the disciples were around, and he had a globe in front of him, and he said, oh, there are so many countries need to be given Krishna consciousness, and there some ladies, women disciples, Srila Prabhupada, and Yadurani Mataji was there. Yadurani Mataji said, so Srila Prabhupada said, okay, so every one of you should go to each country and share Krishna consciousness. So Yadurani Mataji said, Srila Prabhupada, what about us women? She thought Srila Prabhupada is giving instructions to male disciples, to sannyasis. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, you all are devotees. Either you're a sannyasi or you're a grihastha, you're a brahmachari, you're a male, you're a female, doesn't matter. This instruction is given to all of you. So you all can go to different countries and share Krishna consciousness. So this is His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, following on the footsteps of Srila Narada Muni. And by his compassion, we all are also connected to this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we are all told by our Guru Paramparas to follow on the footsteps of Srila Narada Muni. So we pray on this day that we can also be personal in our behavior, in our care to those who need our attention. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Madhupati Prabhu, students.